Hi, short update to my previous video to reinforce why I hate Genshin Impact. In this article, a dad got a credit card bill of 20,000 Singaporean dollars, thanks to his daughter spending it all on Genshin Impact. In freedom units, this is 15,000 USD. So this is actually a pretty straightforward story. His daughter, an 18-year-old IB student, had spent up to 300 Sing dollars each time in 89 different transactions through the Apple App Store and Koda Payments, which had Grab Wallet as a payment method. You see, the dad apparently gave his credit card number to pay for transportation expenses on Grab. Basically, Southeast Asian Uber. Which I have to say is something I can't appreciate. But then again, I am but an ordinary plebeian who breathes too much of the public transport air. And to be fair, they are also supporting the taxi industry during hard times. Either way, as an 18-year-old, she is legally able to enter contracts, making it hard to reverse these transactions, which is why the credit card company said that those transactions were legitimate and couldn't do anything about it. But out of goodwill, which I guess is bank speak for we do not want to lose a wealthy customer, the father recovered about 10,000 Sing dollars. And the rest of the article is a standard PR bullshit where the companies say they are not responsible, blah blah blah, and apparently MiHoYo did not reply to this. Now, if you have no idea how can someone actually spend 20,000 on a game, you can watch my previous video where I explained all the psychological tricks the game uses to compel you to spend more money, and most importantly, more time. Looking around comments for this article, many people seem surprised that an 18-year-old managed to be so reckless and spend so much. But I think you people underestimate how stupid 18-year-olds actually are. There's actually a scientific reason for this. Your brain isn't really fully mature at 18 years old. The orbitofrontal cortex of the brain, which is involved in decision making and impulse control, is also the last part of your body to fully mature, which can happen maybe mid-20s to 30s depending on the individual. And I hope you understand what decision making and impulse control means for a game with gambling mechanics. The definition of 18 years old to be an adult is really just an arbitrary number humans decided to use because it's around puberty and they didn't really have much research on the brain back then. Of course, I don't mean to say that the daughter and the father weren't at fault here. It's quite hard to agree with the father's statement that parents have totally no control, because in this story we know that the family is probably quite wealthy, from the father's job and the daughter's school. Yet, the daughter seemed to have zero education on financial responsibility. But as a relatively old gamer nearing 30 years old, I think it is pretty obvious that it's also a lot easier to be coerced into spending money on Genshin Impact compared to games 10 years ago. Games back then weren't designed with psychological principles in mind to make you spend more time and money on the game. And for videos, there were more straightforward guides or AMVs online, compared to the social media nowadays for Genshin that seem to emphasize damage and wailing. Sure, there are YouTubers who constantly say that you shouldn't spend money you don't have. But how many people watching the videos go to the specific 5 seconds mentioning that in the hundreds of videos, each at least 10 minutes long with thumbnails of big TP damage numbers? Even if you say that in every video, what exactly is the message down here? Considering the popularity of the game, I would say it is almost a miracle that a news like this appeared only so long after Genshin's release. Back when writing my previous video, I had tried to search for an article just like this one, where a child spent a parent's money. Except, I didn't actually manage to find one. Well, I did find this one, but in this other article, the boy seemed to have randomly clicked buttons and genuinely had no idea what happened. And that's all I want to say. But if you decide to read the articles, you might be triggered by some of the sentences saying that she can get items to boost avatars with purchases, or that the progress is slow unless players buy upgrades with real money. Well, the thing is, this article isn't meant to be read by Genshin Impact players. It's meant to be read by the parents of young Genshin Impact players to warn them of the dangers of uncontrolled spending and gacha games in the context of parenting. This isn't supposed to be gaming journalism. It's writing for a parenting column, for which a non-gaming writer probably only has a few hours to research, interview, send emails, and write the article. So, yeah. I also hate that journalism nowadays involves spamming people with thousands of 5 minutes disposable content, instead of having well-researched, in-depth discussions of topics that people can simply just read one time. But that is another topic for the future.